If you're a cyclist over the age of 35 and you want to compete, you'll be categorized as what is known as a masters racer. This is basically a category of bike racing specifically designed for older athletes, which allows us to race against folks in our age group, making it a more balanced and competitive environment. And if you want to have any shot at winning or even finishing a race, then we're going to have to train. That might sound super obvious, but I still remember my first few races where simply finishing a race with the pack was my primary goal. The thing is though, training as a masters racer can be tricky, and there's a few reasons for that. One is our lifestyle. We just don't have the freedom to train and ride as much as professional cyclists, and trying to fit in a training plan while balancing work and in some cases having a family, riding 25 to 30 hours a week like a pro cyclist is just completely unrealistic. On a good week, we might only be able to do 6 to 10 hours a week. On top of that, our bodies are just different compared to younger cyclists. But fortunately, there's a number of studies that take a look at this and give us specific recommendations on how to sustain and enhance our performance. So before I get into the training plan that I did and the program that I used, let's take a quick look at the science so that whether you're doing your own training plan or you're going to do the same plan that I did, you'll know exactly how to structure it to get the most performance gains possible. There are some key things that make us master racers different than younger cyclists. One of the ways that our bodies change is our recovery time. And according to this study, our muscles actually reach the same level of fatigue as younger athletes. However, we do need more recovery time. We also begin to lose type 2 muscle fiber, which results in a loss of power. So as a masters racer, in order for us to combat this, we'll want to incorporate weightlifting into our training plan. But if you're like me and you don't have a gym membership, consider doing plyometric workouts where it's basically you use your own body weight. And after the age of 35, we also start to experience a dramatic decline in our endurance performance, which is caused by a progressive reduction in maximal oxygen consumption. In other words, our VO2 max. But with a solid training regimen, we can minimize these declines with moderate to vigorous intensity aerobic exercise. This study recommends at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise 5 days a week, at least 20 minutes of vigorous aerobic exercise 3 days per week, or some combination of moderate and vigorous exercise at least 3 days per week. Based on the study, you can accomplish this by running, cycling, or cross-country skiing if that's your thing. So, to address all these unique needs, we need to develop a training plan that meets these requirements. You'll also need to structure your training plan in a way that meets your specific performance goals. For example, if you're planning to compete in a road race, pick or design a plan that best aligns with preparing you for that. Don't do a training plan that is going to focus on improving training zones that will have you best suited to do a track or a crit race. If you're new to cycling, you can do this by working with the coach or using a number of different training platforms out there. The platform that I have used for a number of years and done over 1,000 workouts on is Trainer Road. Now, while it's not free, it is super affordable, and they have designed a specific training plan for masters athletes just like you and I. Honestly, I was skeptical at how effective this plan would be and whether or not it was worth trying, especially because I usually just do the sweet spot plan, and most recently I did their polarized plan, but I decided to stop pushing it off and finally give it a try. Now, in case you're wondering, what the hell is Trainer Road? It's a platform designed to help you get stronger and faster on the bike, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out. Anyone can use this. In fact, I think racers like Keegan Swenson use it, and he's won some pretty big races. Trainer Road offers a huge library of structured training plans tailored to your goals. So if you want to crush an upcoming race or just build endurance, they've got plans for all of that. It gives you the option to train indoors with smart trainers or outdoors by uploading the workouts directly to your bike computer. And if you're into data, the platform gives you detailed analytics on your performance. You can look at data after a workout or a race and track your progress over time and see how you stack up against your previous efforts. There's also somewhat of a community aspect to it with their forum. You can connect with other cyclists, share tips, and create group rides to do workouts together while you're at home. All right, so enough of that. Let's go into the platform. The plan that I selected was the Masters Rolling Road Race, which sets you up for an 8-week training plan at 7 hours per week. That's the base of the plan. Obviously, you can do more riding if you want, which I did, and we'll get to that in a moment. But let's take a look at how this plan is absolutely aligned with the science we talked about earlier in this video The first is more recovery time. You can see straight away, TrainerRoad tells you that this plan is designed to give us more of that as masters athletes. So it's giving us what we need in terms of the science there. The study also recommended that we do at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity exercise 5 days per week, at least 20 minutes of vigorous aerobic exercise 3 days per week, or some combination of moderate and vigorous exercise at least 3 days per week. So you can see we hit all of those targets here in our training plan. When we think about trying to slow the reduction of our VO2 max, the plan is also going to address that. I had to do 2 to 3 workouts a week that address either VO2 max or anaerobic training zones, but keep in mind, this is just one plan out of the many other plans that you can select to help you train for whatever your targeted event is. And like I mentioned earlier, one thing I did change was my training volume. I did some bigger rides pretty regularly because I had the extra time. And I also just want to burn off the pizza and chips that I eat. But that is a risky game because when you do bring up the volume, you risk compounding fatigue with the additional training stress. But to help you keep that in check and avoid long-term fatigue or burnout, TrainerRoad finally has a new feature where it's going to warn you ahead of time that you're on the path of burning out. It will even tell you when you should avoid riding altogether. What's crazy is this lined up exactly with how I was feeling. Whenever I was fatigued and didn't feel like riding the next day, as soon as I would upload my ride, TrainerRoad would tell me to take the next day off. Now that seems like a no-brainer feature, but they didn't always have this, and a lot of people were actually complaining about getting burned out from their platform. So it's cool to see this get added. It shows that TrainerRoad is actually listening to feedback and improving the program where necessary. Imagine that. All right, so now that we got all that out the way, let's talk about whether this plan is actually effective and whether I got stronger. When we look at my FTP before I started the plan, I was at 313 watts, and after the plan, I ended up at 320 watts. So even with the extra volume that I did, I still made gains, but I think it's important to mention that the extra volume I did was easy rides, no more than zone 2. I kept my intensity days as my intensity days, following the workout specifically as prescribed. But thinking back on the science, I think the extra volume may have hindered some potential gains that I could have made because I did not rest and recover as much as I could have, which is vital for us as masters athletes. And that's something that I'm going to try to change going forward. But that's all the info. Let me know your thoughts and whether or not you've tried this plan. And if so, how did your experience line up with other TrainerRoad plans that you may have done in the past? And I'll see you in the next video.